there, we are back on the shaky cam again today as I attempt to continue on in my perfume collection. One of the reasons why it's taken me a bit of a while to get back into this, in addition to some various YouTube difficulties and moving into a new place, is that I was having trouble kind of trying to figure out how I wanted to break up the rest of the collection. If I wanted to kind of, split it into themes, like different notes or different houses or what have you, and I couldn't quite come up with a system that satisfied me, so I decided instead to just get on with it and pick out a random selection of perfumes off the shelf, which hopefully will be interesting to watch because, who knows, is it going to be a celebrity scent, or is it going to be a floral or a niche perfume? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. So on that note, I'll just start over here on the left side with this. This is BCBG Max Azria. I got this perfume semi-recently, in a blind swap. And this has been a really nice surprise. I did not have very high expectations for this. It's the kind of thing that I would and probably actually did see on the shelf at like a TJ Maxx or Marshall's and just, kind of not really give a second glance to, because it's like, oh, just some like pink thing, generic with like this weird plastic top, and it's probably going to be some kind of overly sweet, fruity floral thing. And it is a fruity floral, but it's not generic. It's got this sort of softness to it that's a little bit prim almost. It's kind of well-behaved, almost a little bit old-fashioned, but not vintage somehow. I don't know if this is making sense. It reminds me a little bit of like a Shirley Temple. There's something youthful about it and effervescent and innocent, but also fun and pink and light. This has strawberry and cherry and some florals in there. I think there's lily of the valley, maybe some rose. It's all just sort of like a very soft, slightly powdery, but not like makeup powdery kind of scent. So I found myself reaching for this a lot more than I expected to. It's very nice. It's not too sweet. You can spray a lot of it on without ever worrying about offending anyone, because it's not going to get to be overwhelming. It's a really nice, well-behaved fruity floral that is very affordable too if you do happen to see it on the shelf somewhere, so worth checking out if that sounds interesting to you. Next to that, this is Radiance by Britney Spears, and this is the first celebrity scent that I ever purchased after starting to build my perfume collection and discovering that no need to be snobbish about things like celebrity scents, because there are some interesting and good and sometimes not so good things out there, but definitely worth giving a try. I saw this at the Walgreens on the way to work one day, this little bottle here, and I just thought it was really cheap, and the bottle is one of those things where it's like, it's cute, but it's so tacky, but that makes it cuter, and then there's also something that's almost like legitimately luxurious feeling in it, because it's this heavy cut glass, these fake glass rhinestones cut in there also kind of make me think of like Tinkerbell Cosmetics, playing with them as a little girl. So there are a lot of positive feelings that I have for this bottle. I have this weird affection for it, and it's especially cute in this small size. I think this is like a 15 ml. And then I went and picked up a slightly larger one to go with it because I still think it's cute in this slightly larger size, and I do enjoy it that way. This is another fruity floral. This is red berries, tuberose, and a lot of jasmine. It's kind of got that fuzzy jasmine. It opens with like a very sweet kind of grape bubblegum, very sugary kind of burst, but then the dry down calms down quite a lot, and it's really becomes a very soft and rich, sort of ambery floral. I don't know if that's actually true. I just know that the dry down is, I like the dry down a lot. It's very pretty. And the bottle. And that's another one that's very affordable if you have a chance to check it out. This is Signorina by Salvatore Ferragamo. This is one of my favorites over the past couple of years. This is a floral, well, no, not floral. It's a fruity gourmand. It's got notes of panna cotta and red currant and pink pepper. So to me, it's just like a very creamy, sweet, but not overly sugary gourmand. So instead of like syrup, think powdered sugar in terms of the level of sweetness that you get from this. But more than sweetness, there is kind of like a zinginess to it, a fizzy zing from the pink pepper and red currant, I think, that really keep it kind of lively and keep it from ever becoming too overly bakery or sugary, syrupy kind of thing. I think there's also patchouli in the base too, which I normally kind of shy away from patchouli because it's kind of ugh to me. But there's just enough in here to kind of give it a slight edge. Again, sort of a keep it from being too sweet. And this is really lovely. I just bought a larger bottle of this as a backup because I like it a lot. Speaking of larger bottles, this is Versace's Bright Crystal, which is a very popular mainstream department store perfume, which I'd sort of avoided for that precise reason for a really long time because I was like, oh, it's so basic and so generic and I don't want to smell like that. But it turns out that there is a real utility to having a very basic and neutral and inoffensive scent in your wardrobe. Because there are days when, you know, you don't necessarily want to smell like anything specific or anything too showy, and maybe you just want something that's kind of like neutral baseline. And this fills that role really well, and I found myself wearing it quite a lot. It's great for days when you're not really sure what you want, or when you do want something that's just kind of not too anything. This is got pomegranate and yuzu, so some citrus there, and then some variety of florals. Probably, I think there's like lily of the valley, or I don't know. It's not, you can't really pick out a specific flower note from this. I think it's just kind of you get a sense like, oh, floral something in there. Again, it's like it's very kind of quietly neutral, nothing too specific. This is an aquatic perfume, so I get a lot of a very wet feeling from this, which it's in a good way. It's sort of like, you know, you just stepped out of the shower, or, you know, there are raindrops around, so there's something kind of nice about that. And I actually like to wear this on rainy, wet days too, so, or days when you just feel like you want to be a little bit like just out of the shower. So very useful to have this kind of perfume in your wardrobe. And I actually, this is my second bottle. I had a smaller one of this, which I think is the first bottle of perfume that I used all the way up. So clearly used it more than I expected to, but also because you can spray a lot of it on because it's not sweet. So again, that's a nice kind of crisp, fresh kind of thing to have in your wardrobe. So you can go through a bottle really quickly when you spray a ton of it on and wear it a lot. This is Hermes Eau de Merveilles. I had a sample of this a few years ago, and when I first wore it, I really didn't like it. It smelled very masculine to me, like sort of like a men's aftershave, and I didn't understand people were calling it, oh, it's a sparkling, beautiful thing. But I just couldn't quite get it. So I set the sample aside and then came back to it maybe a year or two later. And then when I wore it that time, I think maybe the weather was different or my mood was different. Something was different, and I really loved it. This has orange and fir, some resin, some woods. It's kind of, there's like sort of an effervescent quality to it. From the orange, there's something kind of sparkly. You get a little bit of like ocean salt. This reminds me of like a cold cold beach, like a rocky beach where there's like driftwood and the sky is kind of gray, and you know, you smell salt in the air and the wind is kind of cold. Yeah, sort of a cold, rocky, wintry beach. It also smells very like money to me, a little bit, if that makes sense. And not just because it's Hermes, but there's something about the scent that to me speaks to like luxury and money, which, you know, sometimes that is exactly what you want if you want to feel kind of fancy. So that's Eau de Merveilles. Just a very pretty little bottle. This is a niche perfume from Maitre, Parfumeur et Gantier, which I looked up. Gantier means glove maker, so a master perfumer and glove maker. This perfume is called Bahiana. It is a coconut scent, and it is a very citrusy, fresh, kind of green coconut, in contrast to something like a bronze goddess, which is kind of suntan, lotiony, salty beach, which I have one of the bronze goddesses here, which is good too in a very different way. It's like sort of a sweeter caramel, cream, milky, coconut milk kind of thing. I actually think I wore too much of this one day and it made me feel kind of sick, so I haven't really liked this a lot in quite some time. But this is really great, great beachy kind of scent too. Makes you feel like you're on a tropical vacation. But anyway, in contrast to that, this is like much crisper. It opens with sort of juicy citrus, slightly sweet but not too sweet. And then it opens into like a fresh coconut that's like not like a drizzly, foody coconut, but more like you just cracked open like an actual coconut on the beach or something. So there's sort of like a greenness and freshness to it. And then in the base, you get some fir and wood and resin, and that makes it feel a lot more substantial than you would expect from a citrus plus coconut perfume. It's really well blended, very kind of refreshing to wear on a hot day. So highly recommended if you come across this Maitre Parfumeur et Gantier glove maker. I don't know why I said that way. It's really late at night right now. Okay, now these are two of my favorite perfumes. They're from Guerlain's Aqua Allegoria line. I have backups of both of these. I have like 3 bottles of this one. This one is Flora Nymphea, and then this one is Soleia. And both of these are very much, they remind me of sunniness and sticking your nose like right into a flower, but in very different ways. This one has orange blossom and honey, and then this one is mostly lily. So I get kind of like from the Flora Nymphea, I get sort of like a fuzzy, polleny blossoms in a sun-baked meadow kind of floral, versus this one, which is also sunny, but it's kind of like a waxy petal greenhouse sun, which sounds a little bit gross, but you know what I mean, like those like tropical flowers and things like that. They've got sort of like thicker, waxy petals compared to something like an orange blossom, or like blossoms that you would find in a field of wildflowers that are sort of softer. And they're both good in their own ways. Both really gorgeous, both in terms of the way they smell and the bottles themselves. All of the Aqua Allegoria line have these really pretty honeycomb bottles, and you can't really tell in this lighting, but the Flora Nymphea especially has this like peachy pink juice that's just like gorgeous next to the gold. The Flora Nymphea is what I would consider my signature scent, in that it just kind of feels the most like me, and I can wear it any season, kind of any mood, any outfit, any time. There's something about the honey in there. It almost has like a savory, salty quality to it that kind of blends into the skin really well, and it's a little bit unusual. It can tend to go toward that drier sheet scent sometimes, but in the best possible way. Again, it's sort of like fuzzy, sunny, warm day kind of floral. Really beautiful, not too sweet, not too, I don't know, it's just right for me. So I actually haven't worn it too much recently because I've gotten so many new perfumes and I've been testing things out, but this one I'll always come back to, and I have stocked up in case they discontinue it, which it seems like is always happening. This is a newer one, the Soleia, newer one to me. Both of these were actually blind buys. They were both like two of the best blind buys I've ever had. Very lucky. This one, it reminds me, it just feels like exactly like sticking your nose into a flower. Like it's so naturalistic. It's this kind of a vanilla-y, creamy floral. I also get some notes of like Coca-Cola, which may be weird, but then you think like the ingredients in Coca-Cola are things like citrus oils and neroli and that kind of thing, so it might make some sense. Yeah, I have only good things to say about these. I know the Aqua Allegoria line is kind of like spotty. There's some good ones, some bad ones, and that's all personal preference also, but I definitely recommend checking out Flora Nymphea and Soleia. They're both very beautiful. You know, too, like, Soleia smells kind of yellow, and the Flora Nymphea, it is sort of honey colored, and it has like a honey warmth. So, very beautiful, very lovely. And that, I think, will do it for part 2. So, thank you for watching, and I hope part 3 will come along before too long.